20th, and I call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. At this time, let's all rise, and Commissioner Mahler is going to give our invocation.
Thank you. Pray with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to conduct the business of the citizens of Wichita County, and we would ask that you would bless us with the knowledge and the information and the cooperation that we need to do the very best job that we can for the citizens that live in this community. Lord, as we move through the Lent season and toward the miracle of Easter, we're mindful of the many miracles that your Son, Jesus Christ, brought to this world. And we would all be better off to really take some time and study that and see how we can apply those principles in our own lives as we move forward. Lord, we'd ask that you bless this county family, all of the families that are represented here, and guard and protect them. We have people that are suffering with illness and injury, and we just ask that you'd wrap your arms around them. You are the great physician, and we know that you're the one that brings not only the healing of the body, but the healing of the soul. Lord, we just ask that you'd go with us, be with us today, and help us do the job that we're assigned to do. We ask these things in the name of your precious Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, everyone will join in the pledge to the U.S. flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Everyone may be seated. All right, we have a special presentation this morning. Going to ask our Safety and Risk Management Coordinator, Haley Smithson, to come up and to give a presentation to the court.
My name is Haley Smithson, and I am the Safety and Risk Management Coordinator. I started with the county July 18th, 2022 as an HR generalist, and I have earned an HR generalist certification from HR University. My job duties as an HR generalist were verifying I-9 forms, ID cards, service awards, workers' compensation, exit interviews, COVID tracking, and emergency paid sick leave, job fairs, onboarding, and most entry-level duties. I started my new position January 3rd, 2023, and since then I have taken over the background checks, drug screening, and physicals, and new orientations for new hires. So far this year, we have hired 41 new employees. I am also the one who posts for jobs, the job openings. The yearly required training has started, which includes reasonable suspicion training for precinct supervisors and safety inspections for the precinct barns. I am also the point of contact for workers' compensation and on-the-job injuries. I am also the point of contact for the drug and alcohol testing compliance services, which is random drug testing for CDL drivers. Lastly, the DOT clearinghouse, which ensures our CDL drivers are verified. We must purchase queries to verify new employees and send current employees through annually. Failure to do so can result in a $3,000 fine for each employee. All 24 employees who are required to have a CDL are verified and good to go.
Ms. Smithson, hold on one
Yes.
second. So, are you nervous?
I'm very nervous.
Judge, I want to comment that Tanya had reached out to a guru in CDL management, which was Rhoda Shank Dunnett. She has been an inspector for the state of Texas for a long time, and she stopped me coming out and she said, "Hey, I'm going to tell you, you got your program lined out." And I've done business with her for a long time, and she's not easy to get that compliment out of. So Haley, I commend you for that, because it's a deep well and it's a lot of work, and you've got to be really detailed about your information. So great job there.
Thank you.
The folks at TAC even have nothing but rave reviews on how well y'all are doing things. So I appreciate the level of professionalism and the things that you've taken on in a short time. You're doing an excellent job. So
Thank you.
the whole department is, but you're doing a very good job.
How's your study of Portuguese going?
I've been slacking on that.
Good deal. Are there any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other presentations at this time? Okay. It is 10:06, and we will move to the time of public comment. As a reminder, we ask that everyone keep their comments limited to 5 minutes or less. When there's 1 minute left, I'll give you an indication that there's a minute left, and then after 5 minutes, I'll give an indication that time has expired. So at this time, we'll open it up for public comment.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Annie Jackson. Okay, I'd like to speak about open records, which I know y'all are diligently trying to correct and clean up. But I would like to remind everyone that according to Title V, Chapter A, Subtitle A, Chapter 552, after taking 90 days after taking office, it is the responsibility of elected officials or appointed officials that are public officials to take a training course on open records. It's required. Even the one that would be appointed to be the public information officer, however you have it set up. So on February 23rd, I made a request for the total number of voters who voted in Wichita County for 2020 and 2022. On March 7th, I received the following response. For 2020, there are boxes that are not yet gone through for 2020, and so that information is unavailable at this time. For 2022, these records are not available because it has not been 22 months yet since the election. I do want to tell you, gentlemen, that I filed not an informal complaint, but I filed a formal complaint with the Attorney General's Prosecution Department per their instructions. I also want to tell you that although I personally, my biblical beliefs, I struggle with the idea of filing a lawsuit. And I bring that up because a citizen was given 2022 records prior to me. So it's possible I would have had a discrimination lawsuit on my hands. If I had been that kind of person, I could push it that far. Because under the law, a requester is required to be treated equally. And I was not. That's in your Open Records Act. Every requester is required to be treated equally. And I was denied those records. Second of all, the 22-month retention period has nothing to do with public inspection or the right to see them. That would be, I believe, more along the preservation period where we would not have access, if I'm not mistaken. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. I'm really not very happy about that at all. I would expect by now that everyone would know and understand the open records process. Another issue I'd like to address was a comment that was made on social media regarding another citizen and the action that that citizen has taken. First of all, when the public has no other recourse and public officials and law officials will not do their job and will not listen to the citizens, we as citizens have a right to take other action, whether it's filing a claim against bonds or filing risk management claims for people not upholding their oath of office. This person was generally chastised openly on social media for doing so, and with the comment leading to selfish motives. Anyone who files a claim is usually going to put their name down as the recipient. I've never heard of an insurance claim going any other way. However, if a citizen is injured and takes that route, it is legal for them to do that. It's called punishment by the citizens, and it's legal. It should not be looked down upon. And also, in that same comment was about an outstanding balance. You haven't paid more than $5,000 on an open records request. When I think at this time, every commissioner and every public official, as well as citizens, should tell that citizen that put in that request and did not pay that balance, thank you. Because had he paid that balance, he would have been able to go back to the OAG, filed charges, and recouped 3 times the amount of $5,400. And by the way, the actual amount was $993.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Does anyone else wish to make public comment at this time?
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Weatherby.
My name is Rhonda Weatherby. We, the people, have made numerous requests to audit the 2020 elections. Joe's request was accepted. Joe has spent a year and a half working to verify election results. His latest effort was an actual audit of ballots provided him. His findings, among many other discrepancies, revealed there were more votes than voters. The answer to his findings: let's come up with more ballots. Joe's hours of doing his own audit have revealed our Wichita County 2020 election was fraudulent. Wouldn't you agree? The voting citizens deserve to know the truth. Requests for an outside audit have now been made. So far, those requests are again met with sandbagging results. We, the people, have spoken. We now ask again that you do your jobs and approve our requests for an outside audit. When any of you make your next refusal to oblige our request comment, I would like for you to publish the required procedures for Joe's entrance into the ballot counting room, then an explanation for all the activity in that same room after he was finished. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and approval for an outside audit.
Thank you. Do we have? Good morning, Ms. Kendall.
Nanette Kendall. Our group of patriots met yesterday, and we watched for 3 hours. We watched snippets of a 9-hour video of people not signing into the counting room, not signing out of the counting room, being out of the range of the camera, boxes being brought in, taken out of the video, taken out of the view of the camera, then those same boxes being taken out. What happened? What were you people doing that is so against the law? What is the Democratic Party going to do when they see this same video? Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to make public comment at this time? Anyone? No? Mr. Briegel?
Hey, Court, Danny Briegel, Judge, Commissioners. A couple weeks ago I spoke, and I want to apologize for being so emotional. I didn't think I would come out that way, but I just want to apologize. I do not apologize for my passion, and when I examined later, my emotion was outrage. I'm outraged that good, concerned citizens have been treated the way they have been for a 2-year period by county employees, workers, elected officials. I'm outraged about the what I don't call sloppiness. I'm outraged by the gross negligence of our county clerk and probably other offices. I'm outraged, but most of all, I'm outraged that the integrity of our election in our community is under serious question. And these records that have been given to Joe and Annie and those who have spent hundreds of hours reviewing reveal so far indisputable evidence that we have some serious issues with the 2020 election, not just sloppiness. not even gross negligence. From my perspective, and the more I learn every day, the more I'm outraged, the more I'm concerned. I've been to a couple of meetings. I've seen y'all do your work. You're calm. You go about it. We're thankful for y'all's doing your job. I wouldn't want to do it, make those decisions, spending millions of dollars of the taxpayers' monies on towers for vehicles and road and the things you do. Y'all have a big responsibility. I'm thankful for y'all. Personally, I'd like to see some outrage. I don't think I've seen it. Y'all don't have to jump up and down and be emotional about it. But if our elections aren't safe and secure, and I've been election judge for over 25 years, and that's why I do it, because I care. And I've been involved for a long time in many, many other things, because I care about our community. Thank you for your prayer and what you expressed, your care and your sentiment. So if y'all have an opportunity, I'd like to see you publicly. If you're outraged at where we are with this 2020 election deal, I'd like to see that. I believe the law, the statutes charge the commissioner's court and the judge with oversight of what the county's involved in. Y'all know a lot more about that than the statement I just made, but I've read the law, and I think y'all have a legal responsibility and are charged with that. I don't know where this goes in the long run, but I want an outside audit too. My understanding is that the state of Texas, whether it's the Secretary of State or the Attorney General, has contacted Wichita County and said, hey, we're interested in looking into this, but was told, we got it, we're looking at it, let us look at it. I don't think y'all are equipped or trained to do it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the county clerk's office is equipped or trained, and you can't have the fox guarding the hen house. Y'all do have some responsibility and oversight in this. I don't think y'all ought to be involved in the audit. I'm likewise confused, and I'll name Commissioner Fitcairn about what I read in the paper. I don't know if it's accurate. Most of the times, quite often the paper doesn't respond accurately to what you're trying to communicate. But for someone who wants to be careful because of the legal ramifications on what you say, then in the same breath, I guess you come out and say something just doesn't taste right by that good citizen who spent hundreds of hours researching some questions he had about an election. Something just doesn't taste right. Yet you want to be careful about what you say publicly. That concerns me. I think probably legally, y'all have some legal responsibility in your positions. Can bonds be taken out, whatever has been done with Lori? Can that happen to the commissioners? Yes, it can. You know, you say you want to protect the citizens' money. Let's protect the integrity of the election. Let that fall where it may. Don't accuse someone of doing it for monetary gain. Saying when he first started this, I thought he was, being sincere about what he was doing, but now you question his motives. I see nothing in being close to this group who has been involved in this to question their motives. On the other hand, I see many, many instances where we should sincerely and earnestly question what's going on in our county clerk's office with this election. Thank you, guys. Again, I was more emotional than I wanted to be.
Thank you, sir.
Was this, I didn't see this on the agenda, so I went ahead and spoke then. Were we going to get some updates?
No, there's no item on the agenda for that today. Do we have anyone else who wants to make public comment? Do we have anyone via Zoom who wants to? Okay. It is 10:21 a.m. and this time the public comment is closed. We move on to the consent agenda. I had a question mark on item number 4 about the TKE elevator agreement. Go ahead.
Approve that for 1 year while we're still under construction with all the elevators
Okay.
So we're using one service for maintenance for all the TK elevators. It's
Is
just-
that,
just
is
one
that
year.
235 mark per elevator?
It's just for the single annex elevator.
CNEC, that's the
Just
only
the
one?
annex
Okay.
elevator only.
There was also a digital service package included in that. Was it the recommendation to move forward with that as well, or?
Yeah, there's some, with that digital package, it's my understanding they can do some remote accessing to that.
Okay.
But we will review that when you put this back on, because it has an automatic elevator at the end of 1 year. We need to readdress it at the end of this year. Or at year from now, rather.
So right now, the way the contract is it's for 1 year until January 26, 2024, and then automatically renews for,
Yeah, we need clarifications on those dates because we're not enacting the contract. I think those were dates when it was originally sent to us for review.
okay. And do we want the 1 year renewals or?
We want to review it after 1 year.
Okay.
But is that, or Jim, are you stating that's an evergreen agreement, and if we don't cancel within 90 days, it
Yeah.
automatically comes January?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can review it all we want to, but it's automatically.
And this one
moved
has,
into 2020.
this one has a 120-day notice
Well,
requirement.
I say we issue notice straight away, and then that way we'll be in compliance, and then we can review it and re-award it. But
Yeah.
to
Be better.
6
Just
months.
put, just
is
calendar
not-
it that we need to send them notice of cancellation. What was whatever the,
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah,
at least
whenever we got
120,
the
but
dates,
it don't prevent 360.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but yes, those dates need to be changed to whenever we sign the agreement.
Okay.
where do they service us from, Mark, this group? Are they out of Dallas? Is that?
No, they're between here and Mineral Wells. There's a
Oh, okay.
there's a service tech that's that close.
All right, does anyone have any questions on?
Number 7,
Yes.
I didn't, can you,
We're just adding First Bank as an available bank to buy CDs from.
okay,
We have to approve that list every year, and we're just adding that to our list.
okay, I didn't quite understand that.
More options.
It's more options.
More options.
And I'm assuming the public defender is here to speak on number 5? Is that-
Yes.
I would, yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I would just like a little bit more detail on it.
Sure. So the regional capital defender, we have a contract, the county has a contract with them. I avoided saying we just now because technically the public defender's office isn't a signatory on the contract. It's the county is contracted with them separately. One of the advantages to that, sort of as an aside, is that it avoids them being able to conflict out of cases. If we were hiring them, then they'd have the same conflict rules we have, which they don't right now, which is a strategic advantage for keeping them from being able to essentially bail on cases. But that being said, it's basically right now it's an insurance policy against death penalty cases. So if I do think a death penalty case is coming down the pike in the next few years, or I suspect there will be one coming down the pike in the next few years, I suggest that we talk about this contract again every year, of course, but certainly after one of those is tried, I think the appetite for capital cases may decrease after one of those is tried, and we may readdress this contract. But as of right now, this is way less expensive, even if there's no capital case in the next few years. This is way less expensive than the amount that we would spend on a capital case were we doing it ourselves. So essentially, it's an insurance against a capital case at this point.
And we've had the same insurance prior years.
I think 2 years, 2 years running. We've had the same, and the reason we jumped into it is it used to be way more expensive, and so we had they approach us every year, kind of shrugged and said, "No, it's not worth it." But their prices went way down, way down. I think it was quotes from several years ago. Of course, I wasn't the public defender at the time, but based on what I've heard, is a couple $100,000 per year. And if you're not trying a capital case, that is not worth it. Yeah, but at 50, that's well under. I think Jim Rasmussen, my predecessor, had pulled numbers on what they spent for just experts and just lawyers in Fort Worth, because they're still trying death penalty cases in Fort Worth a lot, and it was hundreds of thousands for experts, hundreds of thousands for the lawyers. Now, that being said, the public defender under statute is qualified by statute to try death penalty cases, but the first point of appeal is going to be, hey, there's nobody in your county who even qualifies under the regional standards. So separate from the statutory standard for the appointed public defender, under the regional standards, there's just nobody in this community that's not retired or half retired that has done death penalty cases at all, which will be the first point of appeal, which I'm not speaking on how that would play out on appeal. Again, the statute says the public defender can do it, but I can tell you, if I was trying a death penalty case, I'd ask for a second chair who's done death penalty cases before to cover the record, so that when it goes up on appeal to say, hey, this was covered. We had somebody on the team who could do this, which is going to cost, a lot of money. And with this, we wouldn't have to spend that with this contract. So I think I probably over-explained. I wanted you guys to have a good basis for what's going on with that contract. Any other questions I can answer about it?
We currently have a first and second chair, do we not, in the public defender's office?
Yes.
For capital?
For capital.
For
So
capital.
no, we have.
We don't?
Me as the public
so-
defender, I'm qualified by statute to
Okay.
try death penalty cases. There's a separate statute that says that you're supposed to meet the lawyer on a capital case is supposed to meet the standards for the regional.
So we would automatically have to go out for help, wouldn't we?
I think that if you didn't want it coming back on appeal, potentially, which you don't on these cases.
Then
The
you
other
double,
thing is,
then you
I
double
mean,
the cost. Yeah.
realistically, the Court of Criminal Appeals treats capital cases with a lot more kit gloves than they do than they do even life without parole, which we try those all the time.
Yeah.
I've got, as far as capital in name cases, I personally have 5 that I'm working on right now. Several other people in my office have a couple. So we're working on it, but none of those are death penalty, and death penalty is, or as far as we know, they're not death penalty. If they pursue the death penalty, it's likely we'll bounce them over to.
And the trend is up, it looks like.
The trend definitely appears to be going up. And I think that, again, I think one's coming down, based on the political landscape that I'm looking at, I think a death penalty case is coming down the pike here in a few years. I think we'll see one. But the way it works procedurally for capital cases is the DA's office charges a capital case, and until they abandon the death penalty is on the table. But we have a pretty good idea for when that's going to happen or not. So we keep an eye on those. There's only one. My office has probably 10 capital cases in name right now. There's only one that I'm kind of concerned about. The other ones I'm reasonably comfortable with continuing to work on. So that's the right. We do, incidentally, Marty Kennedy in our office, who's the head of our division that deals with motions to revoke probation and motions to adjudicate probation, as well as doing a lot of our intake. He has, it's been a while, but he's done some work on death penalty cases a long time ago, back when we were doing them in this county more regularly. So we have him. I don't think he would be comfortable jumping in and second chairing one right now with where he's at, and having been so long.
Wouldn't want to have to dust him off. In other words.
Certainly the safe option would be getting somebody who does this regularly, and there are counties that still do this regularly, primarily Fort Worth, because they have the money plus the appetite. Being as politically inclined as they are, there's an appetite for those cases, and they have the money, whereas our county, it's very expensive because there's almost always a change of venue, which, as we've seen in Wilder, is a mess. There's probably going to be special prosecution that they hire outside, although I can't speak for them, obviously. And those are expenses outside this, honestly, that we can't even control. Then
You
there's
have to put a
experts.
team on the field to match up the competition, though, and
Well, right, and not to mention dropping these regional guys. This is all they do. They only have 1 or 2 capital cases at a time, at all. 1 or 2 cases at a time, and we have to drop. A capital case takes a month and a half on the short end, and you have to drop everything to prep it, and then drop everything to try it. So that puts a lot of strain on the rest of the court system when we're handling 300 cases a year, 300 to 500 cases a year each, as a lawyer in the public defender's office, each one of us, and dropping that and saying, I'm just not going to do anything, or 2 of us aren't going to do anything for several months while we try this other.
And I understood you to say that this particular deal, we avoid conflict. In other words, they guarantee that there won't be.
Well, I suppose if they were representing, I can't imagine there being a conflict. I do think that's why the public defender's office is not a signatory on this contract. I'm happy to run point on it because I do think it's extremely valuable. But I think that's why we're not a signatory, because if we were a signatory, there'd be an argument to be made that they have the same conflict. So if I represent, a lot of these capital murders have a couple of co-defendants, especially the robbery type ones. And if I represent one of them, they can represent the other, and that's going to save the county a large amount of money. Any other questions I can answer?
Okay, thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any other questions?
Just briefly on item number 8 with asbestos abatement. This is really just phase 1. There's a second abatement that will take place. What we're trying to do is to roll in the floor abatement in with the ceiling abatement as well. So once they're complete, everything in this larger area will be complete and ready to go into for full construction. The $75,000 is a guess. I don't believe it will be that high, but they couldn't give me the final estimates till later today. So
We had no idea during that phase of construction what damage we were doing for later, did we? I mean, you think about when all that stuff was put in
yeah,
and nobody thought anything about
well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I knew there was asbestos in the ceiling. I didn't know the extent
it.
and the
But
extent.
I'm
of the
talking about when
abatement.
it was all, all
Back
done.
originally.
Now, who would have ever guessed that we were setting ourselves up for?
Yeah.
And this is a tremendous expense in every one of these projects.
Well, that's a 4-week project to remove it, so that's why the expense.
But it puts your construction 4 weeks behind too, so.
But
Yeah,
we're-
absolutely.
We're a week ahead, so that gives us a net 3 weeks behind.
when motion
But
approves,
if we can move the floor into it, that'll take another week off of it, so. Second, good motion.
All right, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Fincannon, seconded by Commissioner Beecham. Do we have any public comment on this? All right. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Moving along to general business, item number 1. Review and approve the regular bills for payment. Order county treasurer to disperse payroll and bill payments within 72 hours via U.S. mail, FedEx, UPS, or electronically, unless directed otherwise, or may be picked up and ledgered in the treasurer's office.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Do we have any public comment on this item? All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Mahler, second by Commissioner Beecham. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2, discuss, consider, and/or take action to award bid for a pickup truck for precinct number 4. Let's see. Commissioner Watts.
Yes, that was, that bid came in about $2,000 less than the only other bid,
Which bid are you talking about?
Pruitt Ford.
Okay.
And it's still gonna be at least 120 day, or they're claiming 120 day, time frame. But I would make the motion, we'd go ahead and approve that bid for Pruitt Ford.
Okay.
Second.
Do Do we have any public comment on this item? All right, we have a motion to approve the bid from Pruitt Ford by Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Where's that 367?
That is, right there across.
The drainage building? Oh, yeah, I know what it is.
All right, moving on to item number 3. Discuss, consider, and/or take action to authorize county judge to sign Texas Communities Group LLC agreement to resell trust properties and county-owned properties that the county no longer desires. This time I'd like to ask Mr. Fideli to come up and address the court.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Tony Fideli, of course, with Purdue Brandon. Molly LaRue, one of our other attorneys, is here. You're all familiar with Molly as well. Danny Barrett, and Molly Flores are with Texas Communities Group. Danny also works for Purdue Brandon, has been with the company almost 40 years now. It looks pretty young to be with us for 40 years. So this Texas Communities Group, and I'm going to let them do the talking because they're the day in. They drove in from Lubbock this morning for the meeting. And the Texas Communities Group, TCG is what we call it, was a brainchild of Danny Barrett's. It's a sister company to Purdue Brandon, and it focuses on how to tend to properties that are unwanted. Some are distressed properties that may have different health and safety reasons, liens, weed violations. Others are the properties that I think have been presented here from the county that may be just undesired properties. How does the county sell those appropriately, get the most money for it, and get rid of that property liability? So with that, I'll let Danny or Molly come and tell you the process, and they'll be able to answer any questions you'll have.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Judge, Commissioners, good to be here this morning.
Danny, do you mind introducing yourself just for the record?
Yeah, okay. Danny Barrett with Texas Communities Group. I'm in Lubbock, Texas. And with me is Molly Flores, our administrative director. And like Tony said to me before, I basically drove her here. I serve as her chaperone. We started TCG as a function of Purdue Brandon to help with our clients with like Tony said, some maybe unwanted property, surplus property, trust foreclosed property. And we feel like we've been very successful with that. We've eclipsed $3 million in sales through trust properties and other type property sales for our entities. And we really work hard at marketing. It's 2023, so we try to take advantage of some social media and getting the word out. We have an online bid site that we feel like promotes some competition. With that said, all it is about is trying to bring most dollars to our clients that we can and maximize those sales of property. Commissioner Watts sent us some properties that y'all have gone through, I believe, and he wants us to look at. You know, our process will be to inventory those properties. We'll make some suggestions to you as to make sure you're aware of what the property is and anything that we see. Maybe we see adjacent property owners that it may be best served we get that property into their hands. You may have some properties that are of maybe considerable value. A lot of our trust properties are kind of low value properties, but you may run across some properties that have a considerable value. And with that in mind, we way back when we started, we have a TCG real estate company, and Molly Flores is also a licensed realtor with that. And so a few times we've been able to take advantage of that and to try to maximize that and give you a little bit more control in the sale. Our job is to bring you purchasers. We bring those to you, and you guys approve those before, so you have final say on every sale. And our cost, the way we're going to work that here with just the number of properties that are involved, is we're going to charge a $150 deed fee for the purchaser, so it'll come at no cost to the county.
Will, Danny, will you do any prior title work on anything?
Yes, if the property looks, if there's anything that we see in the original sale to the county, we'll back check that to make sure there's not any liens or other encumbrances on the title that may affect the sale. Yes, sir.
We had initially these properties that are, guys, asterisked on your printout from the appraisal district. We had the title company look at those, and at the time didn't issue any concern. Willie Wall had mentioned a property to me, and when we dug a little deeper into it, we realized that we're only granted use of the property, and if we chose to quit that, it would revert.
Okay.
And it reverts to an old family here. And when I contacted the trust that was involved, they said, "We'll just sell the property and give us the money." And it may need to be cleaner than that, but they weren't interested. They felt like any fees or charges involved in changing it over would eat up anything that, so it's gonna be something you'll have to look into.
Right. Yeah, we've run across some reversionary wording in deeds, different things like that. We've almost ran across a little bit of everything in our 7-8 years of operating. I wouldn't think we would be surprised by anything. We also have on staff and with the firm an attorney by the name of Doug Jordan, who specializes in real estate transactions. And anytime there's a question or anything we think something falls on a gray area, we bring in Doug and have him look at it. His past was with Stewart Title Company, and he managed his office for them. So we feel like we have some good folks to refer to.
And how do you perceive, and Tony, you may have to interject here, but how did we ever come to hold these properties? Prior to Wichita Falls being the partner that we send struck off properties to that don't sell on the courthouse steps, what was the arrangement that ever ended up that school district or whatever, and the city, most of these are that way, how would they have relinquished their hold and just gave full ownership to us?
So, Commissioner, good question. And each property may be a little bit different on how it got into your hands. Some of these may be tax properties that don't fall in a municipality. So if there was a property here in downtown Wichita Falls that went up for tax sale and no one bought it, we would strike it off at the sale to the city of Wichita Falls, and the city of Wichita Falls, the school district, and the county have an agreement on the city will take care of it because the city has the crews to do that. And that's what we typically see across the state. It can be struck off to any taxing entity, but and then they maintain it, they keep up with their costs, and then there's a formula to get those costs reimbursed when other properties sell. So these might have been properties that didn't fall in a municipality. It could have been properties that were gifted to the county, and the county accepted at one point in time. It could have been even before the current tax code, where it used to be that the county had their own tax office, the city had their own tax office, and the school had their own tax office, and there were 3 different appraisers. So the county would value your house at one thing, the city would value it at something else, and the school would value it at something else. And then in 1979 that changed to make the uniform appraisal district that we have today. In those old days, it might have been just the county that was suing, and the other entities weren't part of that lawsuit. So there could be a variety of reasons why.
So it looks like most of these properties with asterisks are within the city of Wichita Falls city limits.
Most of them.
Yeah, so may have been at some point in time that the city and the county didn't agree on struck off properties, and a commissioner's court 25 years ago could have said, we want you to file on this property, and the city said, well, we don't want to take care of it. The county said, we'll take it. Yeah, it could be those things as well. So,
Well, we wanted to get this taken care of before we're needing a new push mower, and I know Gossam hadn't gave Jim the old push mower yet.
that's right.
We got our precincts. He's the one.
We'll get you a sun hat too, so you don't get sunburned while you're out there.
I do love pushing a mower.
Yeah. So, and I think one thing is there's no cost to the county. I mean, that's one of the things. This is just an added value that Purdue Brandon brings to the table. Obviously, we represent you in the collections of all your receivables. We had a great meeting with the auditor's office a month or 2 ago, and we're working on their project right now with them. So there will be a deed fee that will be passed off to the purchaser of how much? So $150 deed fee will be paid. So an individual bids $2,000 for a piece of property, it'll be disclosed. There's a $150 deed fee that they will pay in addition to that bid. So, and it's all done on a website through an online auction system that they developed a few years ago.
And Danny, does that work? So 30 days, I've got the property listed. I don't have to watch it till the last day of close, and I come down and I want to get involved. and let's say somebody else is doing the same, and then we get down close to deadline time, and I put in $100 extra bid, and he bumps it, when time runs out, does it extend like for 10-minute intervals or 5-minute intervals, or what happens?
That's a great question. No, it does not. The way it's set up, it's not. We have a start with our initial bid on the property, and then 25 days from that point, the bidding closes. It's pretty much a sealed bid process. You can see that other bids are placed. So if I place the second bid and I see 3, 4, and 5 bids after that, I may want to revisit what my bid was, and I can do that.
So
up
I'm
until
not
that point
seeing
in
the
time.
You're
number.
not seeing the live
Correct.
number? Okay.
Okay, you're just actually taking the submittal, and it's incognito to everyone else.
Right.
Okay.
It's not an eBay auction.
Right.
Right.
And
It's
even
not
TCG doesn't know the number until it closes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You
We
have-
don't even have access to it up until that 25th day.
But that's how the potential buyer needs to access it online in order to
Correct.
initiate that.
Correct. And there may be, when we look at these properties individually, if we see, depending on the shape and the size of the lot or tract, if there's a property owner that, it looks like it might benefit, we may come to you and say, hey, rather than bid this property, let us go talk to the adjacent property owner and see if they have interest in it.
Yeah.
So we'll look at each one individually and try to make the best decision for each to bring to you to make
I
the
would
final decision.
assume the adjacent property owner would be a good bidder in a lot of these.
A lot of times, yes, sir.
Some of these properties it might be better to almost give it to the property.
Yeah,
Next door.
$200 property.
For a $150 deed fee, we can
Right,
get
but
that
I
done.
mean,
Absolutely.
given that option, that'd be a better, because
Yeah.
I know a lot of these properties personally.
Yeah,
They're of
absolutely.
an odd size or shape that's not really useful to build anything on.
Right. And so we'll look at the map and kind of see where we are, and we'll probably put out some feelers if we feel like that may be a situation we want to come to, and if we do, we'll bring that to your attention.
And I think Mel and the judge and I tossed the contract back and forth. Mel had a few suggestions. We've incorporated those, so I think it's been approved. So,
Yeah.
from a legal standpoint.
Good shape there.
Good.
Motion to approve.
Second. And we appreciate it very much. Look forward to moving forward with that.
You too. Thank you.
Do we have any public comment on this item? All right, we have a motion to authorize the county judge to sign the agreement by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Watts. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right, thank you both. Thank you all for tripping.
Check out construction of the annex
Thanks, Tony.
Thank y'all. Molly, thanks for coming up. Molly LaRue, thank you for coming.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah, thank you all. All right, that moves us on to item number 4, which is receive treasurer's report from Stephen Jones, County Treasurer.
We're all excited.
Welcome to the hot seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably more nervous than Haley.
I don't know, what do you think? Thank you. Oh,
Oh, Steve, thank you.
Stephen, my son told me when you were running for this position that you were a great school teacher, which equates to you didn't give much homework.
Oh, well, I know I did. I'm not sure Matt ever did it, but,
Probably not.
Did you do math, Stephen?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when was the Brockreed boy there? Barry, did
he
you
was
work
there.
with him, or
Who?
there was a
Oh,
Brockreed,
what was-
Ben Brockreed?
Ben was there, yeah.
Do you
I
remember
don't
him
think
as a
y'all
math
crossed.
teacher?
No, I don't
From
remember.
electric.
Different era, yeah. I saw Ben the other day, matter of fact, hadn't seen him in a long time.
go ahead.
Okay, well, basically,
We're through reminiscing.
yeah,
Move
I'm
on.
happy to talk about that. That's more fun.
Yeah.
Basically, this is a report, shows our bank balances for everything we have in American National and everything we have in tax pool. Just because that's our liquid assets, and then the auditor and I are going to be doing a investment report quarterly on everything else that we have. The way it was done before was a little bit what do I say, askew of statute. So basically, this is, the treasurer's report is a look from the banking side of how much money we have in different accounts and where it's moving around. And this is for February 28th. And you can see your individual report, or your individual accounts for road and bridge, precincts, all of our different ones that we have there, and then our money market gold accounts. And the interest rates and the interest we've earned on each one through February. So main thing that we've been trying to do is move stuff from our bank accounts into tax pool when we can, just to get the higher interest rates. And so in February alone, we earned over $200,000 in interest in tax pool.
Yeah, that's very informative, and we can see the checking account balances and the other holdings.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, that's mainly what the treasurer's report is, to give you guys an idea of what cash we have.
So his report will be on the bank. My report is on the system, so mine includes
Mhm.
all of the deposits and transit checks outstanding. So ours
Right.
will never, if you're gonna try to reconcile them, they're not never going to
I see.
reconcile.
Yeah, she does with the idea of money, and mine's the actual money we have. Right?
So this is a liquidity report.
Yes, pretty much.
Okay. Which is very different than what we've ever had before.
Correct. And then the
And-
investment report will come separately.
Yeah, so the investment report is more what Bob did, because he enjoyed talking about that stuff more, I think. And that'll be coming from both of us as the investment chair people, and so that we have it together and figure it out to present. And that's required quarterly as opposed to monthly. Whereas monthly, I'm required to give you guys an idea of what cash we have on hand. And again, so I included tax pool in this because it's more liquid than other investments. So we can get money out of tax pool in 24 hours. So, any questions you guys have, I can look at Cheryl and she can answer.
We are trying to keep as much money in tax pool as we can, and then
Mhm.
just keep only, a couple weeks operating generally in our checking accounts, so that it's earning the most. We're not sweeping it back and forth.
yeah, and I mean, it's hard to beat right now. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
find
tax
any
pool
other-
is,
Um,
yeah,
it really is the
4.74 last
highest.
I looked.
We can't get a CD for that right now.
Although you may later this week.
yeah.
Yes, later this
When
week
it's
after the
looking.
feds meet again, that, could be reevaluated, which is also why we put First Bank on that list.
Are
Mhm.
we
Open up competition.
on the tax pool, are we in the prime, or do we have some?
We're in prime.
We're in prime.
All prime?
Yes, we did have some in the regular tax pool, but we've moved most of that into prime.
Did we ever need to worry with that, being commercial paper involved or anything?
No, it's all very safe. They've got
Okay.
that one locked down.
Yeah, it's a low percentage of
Yeah, it's a low percentage of
commercial.
paper.
And it gives us, I think, almost 0.5% higher rate.
Well,
Okay.
that's outstanding, Steve, good job.
Thank you.
Tax pool is one of the preferred places to put our funds.
And it is
Yeah.
currently the only pool allowed by our investment policy anyways.
Mhm. And really,
And as we discussed, it doesn't affect our weighted average maturity.
It does
when you
not
park
affect
the
our
money,
weighted
which is
average
really,
maturity.
it really should, but it does not because
It does
it's
not,
full
because
liquid.
we can pull it out.
Because
It's
it's liquid.
basically a very high interest savings account.
Mhm.
Okay, any other questions? Any public comment on this item? All right.
I'll publicly comment that Mike Sloan's over in her office. I wouldn't be able to do anything in my office without him. Very knowledgeable, very good guy, does amazing work, and I'm very grateful to you for letting him help me so much.
Good.
You're very welcome. That's our
It's
job.
good to hear. Teamwork.
Yes,
Love
sir.
it. Thank you very much, sir. All right, and then moving on to item number 5, which is receive update on courthouse renovation, elevator projects, and county courthouse annex. Commissioner Beecham.
A lot went on, you just don't really notice it because it's a lot of little detail work this week. They're blocking in the elevator walls, they've got 5th floor done, they're coming down, most of 4th is complete. They'll be moving down to 3. Once they get down on 3 and get those blocked in, they'll start the finishes, and remove the temporary dog houses from around the elevators. So we'll start to actually see everything once again and be able to walk through the building without obstacle. A lot of, like I said, a lot of detail work, the finish trim work and stuff down in the 1st floor area. I think they're putting window frames in your office today, so, and in the IT office, so good stuff. Annex, full demolition, that
The hallway's open now.
hallway's open now, they are open. Was a little more involved, but again, we're about a week ahead of where we should be on the demolition schedule, and maybe a little more than a week because
And now that he said that, we're now 3 weeks behind.
What's that?
So now that you've said we're ahead, we're gonna be 3 weeks behind.
No, yeah, we're a week, about a week ahead, and now we're 3 weeks behind, so. But there, in the because of the asbestos abatement, they really had to strip everything out, so that's probably a good thing in the long run. So we got in there and got most everything except ductwork pulled down over the weekend. Ductwork will come out this week in prep for getting the asbestos abatement in next week.
Mark, did you ever find out what, you had showed me the ductwork that appeared to?
No, that's
Still
still an area of interest.
The mystery is still there.
And we'll find out this week. But yeah, that project's going along well. Excited.
The public can access that hallway and do limited business.
Yeah, I think they had some telephone problems this morning, so.
Would still encourage them to use the alternative methods or locations, but it is open.
But the property tax office is open. I don't think their phone system's working really well right now.
Okay.
I love the large sign, tag office closed. You can see it from the parking lot. I had not noticed it.
You'd still be surprised how many people walk all the way across the street.
Across the street with the big sign.
Yeah.
They go, what, you're closed?
There's people lining up at the Burke Tag office at 7:15.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll shock you at Electra, just the constant stream of people.
And because of that increased activity, Mark, we really need to look at that parking lot situation in our park.
Okay.
And maybe move forward with that,
Okay.
because there is quite a bit more traffic.
Well, I was about halfway kidding with Tommy last week and said, we're gonna get everyone trained to go to the outlying offices, and when we get moved back in, he's not gonna need near the space. So maybe we can cut it in half.
Traffic has increased though in those.
Yeah, it's probably going to end up being a good thing in the long run, that people are going to start using the outline, get used to using outlying spaces.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I do know though that they had reached out in Iowa Park of wanting some striping and some work on.
Yeah, we need to.
Well, and also pushing them to try the United experience, and a lot of people are just hesitant to. I am.
Yeah,
So.
just kind of what Hayes County had told us when we stopped by there last year, that they built the new Hayes County tax office, and they found their outlines are picking up more than their central office. So.
Yeah.
So we need to get Commissioner Watts to use United.
So
Lead the way.
Yeah, lead the way.
So with all those options, that excuse to the officer that my trailer tags have been out 2 years, well, the office is closed. I can't.
No excuse, because there's plenty. There are plenty of options. It's just not what people are accustomed to.
Took that one off the table. So
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions on that? Any public comment on that item? All right, it is 11.